Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Anime Ramble. Today I got for you Hunter's Guild chapter 9 through 14, and I love this series, okay? I've been on record saying in my chapters 1 through 7 reviews that this series is comparable to that of The Matrix for Shonen Jump, alright? Everything that we had developed in the first 7 chapters, or the first 8 chapters, I can't remember, with Valoo, with Grimm, everything we found out with the mayor, how they handled the werewolves, everything we found out with the mayor and Cinderella and the Alpha Wolf writing the script and everything that has to do with Valoo just comes screeching to a halt when their exam arc starts. And the reason I didn't immediately pick up and just dive into individual videos, because I was doing individual videos for all of the chapters, but somewhere around 10 when they started the exam, I was like, wait, this ain't hidden like the first 7 or 8 chapters hit. This is kind of lighthearted, it's very off-putting, and you don't get a true sense of what these newfound hunters can expect when they go into the real world, in their world, right? That's the whole point of an exam arc. When exam arcs became prevalent in Shonen Jump, right, particularly around Naruto and Hunter x Hunter era, right, they have almost become a staple. They've almost become a requirement for mangakas in order for their series to really move forward. There's, a very select few of popular top tier shonen manga, a part of Shueisha, that have that, no exam arc element. The issue with the Hunters Guild's exam arc is, several things really. One, it doesn't expand the world building. That's like bare minimum requirement for an exam arc. Two, it's only one stage, and the test that they pick has, what does cops and robbers have to do with being a hunter? We just went through 8 chapters of Valoo going entirely beast mode with Grimm in order to save his village, and they didn't even save the hamlet. It got blown up by an overpowered Cinderella witch and a giant alpha wolf. And then you go into this. Now, my main gripe with the exam arc is the fact that there is just so much dialogue that is going on. One of the main things that they tell you in writing, one of the cardinal rules, the big no-nos that you're not supposed to ever do, is you're not supposed to tell more than you show. The rule is called show, don't tell. Well, this series had a lot of telling going on, okay? I think in the first chapter that the exam arc started, chapter 9, out of 15 pages, 9 of them were dialogue, and it doesn't get any better the further you go in, okay? I think chapter 11 had the most action we had going on with Miguel and his whole arc, but that was it started in chapter 11, it ended in chapter 11. I would have liked to have seen that play out over the entirety of the exam arc, because I can't even remember his name, the dude with the monocle that was trying to accrue this massive force in order for him to overthrow the Hunters Guild. Well, I was like, well, and this just shows how much talking was actually going on. He gives the entire plan and then he's over and done with in the blink of an eye. And yeah, we got to see some cool powers and we got to see some things of that nature, but I mean, we would have saw that anyway the further that they got out into the series. I can't just make chapters, like, that's not me, alright? I'm not just gonna make videos on just dissecting dialogue. I mean, they went through plans A, B, C, and D. They went through all those plans. They kind of had a hiccup here and there. I mean, you had, what's her name? Debo, the captain of the mobile exam unit, basically come out of her mouth and say, yeah, she's not going all out. She's not taking this seriously. And okay, fine. Over multiple exam arcs across different anime series, the proctors aren't truly taking it 100%, but at the end of the day, they're usually not taking it 100% when they have the examinees doing a test that's relevant to what it is that they're supposed to be doing in the real world. It does not help that it was only one stage, and the test that they picked wasn't the best for the job. Like, take Demon Slayer for example, alright, another prominent anime in the community. They have an exam arc, and they also have a one-stage exam arc, much like, the Red Hood Hunters Guild does, right? The difference between Demon Slayer and Hunters Guild is that the Demon Slayer mangaka understood that if there's only going to be one test that they take, you don't want to introduce just a disgusting amount of characters into the one stage of the exam, because you don't have the luxury of, say, a 3-stage exam arc like what we saw in Naruto or in My Hero Academia, okay? That's the bad part. In Demon Slayer, they only wanted to know one thing: can you slay demons and can you stay alive? So they had, what, 7 days? I might be getting the number of days wrong, but they had a number of days to survive on the mountainside and get up to the mountain alive and slay demons along the way. In Hunter's Guild, playing cops and fucking robbers, At no point in the first 7-8 chapters when we were just with Valoo and Grimm was arresting werewolves even an option for them. The minute Grimm saw the alpha wolf in Cinderella, it was on sight. She ain't say put your hands behind your back. So you're already creating this false sense of expectations that, say, any hunter that might not have had an experience like Bonker or Valoo or Mai and Tai, you would expect for them to get a grasp of what they're going to expect in the real world. Well, this shit's not going to happen in the real world, and that's kind of like what the setup is, okay? If you want to have more strategic exams, then you need to have a multitude of exams for the different characters to take. It would not have made sense in Naruto for the only exam for them to take was the written portion of that test. Multiple stages test multiple areas. It lets you introduce more characters. It lets you flush out their powers a little bit better. Even now, I still have questions about the different abilities and powers that I've seen, but because it's a rush job, you're not going to get the full thing. And now I know chapter 15 has just dropped, so I'm waiting to read chapter 15. But from the thumbnail and, you know, the little blurb that I saw from my boy Pirate Hunter Anime, shout out to PH, I can tell that they're back to their Matrix style of writing. The mayor has came back up. I don't know what's going on with him, but I can't wait to see finally. You know what I mean? We went from this lightheartedness. Oh, by the way, everybody passes. Everybody passes. They went from saying, yeah, it's not uncommon for, you know, multiple people to fail this exam and go away and get off the boat or the ship or anything like that. Everybody passes. They had interesting plot lines that you would have liked for them to flesh out, like the backstory that we saw with Bonkers. We should have got that earlier. The backstory that we got with Mai and Tai, where we saw, or where we heard where the first time that they went through the exam, it wasn't because they weren't skilled or anything like that. I talked about that in the previous video. It's not that they weren't skilled, it was basically mutiny, right? They broke apart because they had a plan. Well, in this scenario, everything goes right? There is no sense of tension amongst everybody who has this plan realistically, okay? Because everybody's on board with it except for Mai and Tai, and then they go do their own thing. You don't see them at all until the very end where they pop up and they're fighting Debo. It just wasn't well put together. This exam arc could have been so much more crisp, at least in my opinion. I still love this series. I can't wait to pick things back up with the mayor, right? We didn't even get interesting world building from this because they were on this big non-aerodynamic cubicle boat that was on this one strip of land, so there is no world building in that sense. We got powers, we got very little character development. It just wasn't hitting for me on those cylinders. But I mean, I don't want this to turn into a for real rant. I don't know how y'all feel about it, you know. It's not one of those situations of me harping to see if people like agree with this shit. These are just my thoughts. I'm out here rambling and talking about it. But I am interested to pick up with chapter 15. I'm going to get that chapter out this week, but I just could not just go through all of the dialogue that there was in the exam arc. I just can't. They spent most of the time coming up with the plan, then implementing the plan not working, so they have to explain plans B, C, and D. Not really, I'm being hyperbolic, but just a lot of explanation, a lot of stop and go. The test didn't test what you would expect for them to need to know going into their hunter world. Valoo spent 8 chapters just slaying 3 werewolves, okay? He ran into Cinderella, he ran into the Alpha, his village got blown up, the mayor is turned out to be alive, he had to kill an old man, no one wants to talk about that, but he had to kill an old man because Grimm's hunter tool identified the bones as an old man, so he had to have killed an old man, ate him, put the bones there, left the axe. There's so much deception going on. It's just so weird. You have this light-hearted exam that's not doing anything. But I mean, look, I've rambled on long enough. If you made it to the end, thank you. If you're new, go plus ultra and smash that subscribe button. Lets me know you rock with the content that I put out on the channel. Like the video if you like the video, dislike the video if you dislike the video. Comment on the video your thoughts about, look, maybe I'm missing something, but I'm really not. Like, I was really into this series, and I was talking with PH, and I was like, look, whenever you're ready to make this video, let's do it. I just could not bring myself to follow this exam that was leading nowhere, because what did they learn coming from this? Teamwork? I mean, they've always known teamwork. We just saw Grimm take an unexperienced, untrained, brand new, fresh to the field hunter, or soon to be Hunter in Valoo, completely untrained again, taught him very little, and he managed to slay 3 or 2 werewolves. Teamwork has always been an element to this series, so for them to now come into being taught it's kind of late. Everyone there has, well, not everybody, look, I've rambled on long enough. Subscribe if you're brand new, and like always, until next time, I'm out.